Welcome back to FinTech and Behavioral Finance by Andy Kim of SKKU. Now, you must have watched the PBS television's interview with me and then about the facial masculinity of the CEOs. How is it related to M&As? It's about social dominance that the guy is pursuing. 형님이 돼야지. Like whatever situation, this kind of guys wants to be the top guy, top dog, right? Not the underdog, right? So that's their drive, achievement drive that you have to recognize, okay? So how to measure this facial masculinity? Well, using the software called ImageJ, the RAs had to manually measure the facial, the distance between these 2 points, right? Over here, if it is my face, right? These 2 points, and then that point over here. The problem is, right? For a given headshot, right? What if the RA's hand is trembling so that they make mistake in pointing it? Okay, there could be a lot of errors, right? So to get over that kind of problem caused by human hands, right? We had an idea like this, right? There is a process of generating average pictures based on many different pictures that you input in computer machines, right? For example, some news articles you must have seen articles about here is the average face picture of Miss Korea. Here is the average face picture of Miss Japan, and this is Miss China. The average face pictures, look somewhat different. Okay, but our idea was, okay, let's use this algorithm. Okay, you first throw in thousands of CEO face pictures, right? Thousand guys, right? But when each time it is input, right, the machine recognizes the face recognition technology is there, and then the machine points 68 different landmarks in your face, right? Stop that at that time and then get the coordinates, right? Get the coordinates of each point and then calculate the distances that we need, okay? Automatically you calculate the distances and measure the ratio, width to height ratio, okay? By that, no human hand gets in, right? Cleanly the machine calculates everything for us, right? If the machine gets biased in measuring in a certain way, that bias will stay there, but it's completely out of our researchers' intention or at all, right? So that's how we did it, and measure the facial masculinity using the AI and machine learning, right? The innovation came from my RA, Suhyun Park. She's a GBA graduate. Now she's in the AI team of Korea Telecom, KT, right? Genius, right? She's right, really smart one. So she became my co-author in that paper, one of the A journals that we recognize in our SKKU. It's for the first time in our history that when undergraduate students became co-author in that kind of high-level journals paper. Anyway, so that's our innovation we brought for the first time in the literature, and then by that we also generated the U.S. average face picture of all the U.S. CEOs in the top 1,200, right? Like this, that you see it, right? Average face picture of the biggest U.S. companies. And then you can see this procedure like this, 68 different landmark points, right? And then, yeah, here is how we calculate the facial width to height ratio. And then here is our algorithm like this, right? Yeah. And then what is it? Yeah, we now have a fWHR measuring website so that you click this one and you will get to our website that we created, and there you are supposed to what is it, input your face picture. Okay, face picture you input over here after browsing it. Okay, after browsing your face picture, and then you input your company, what's that, your nationality and ethnicity and gender and age and height and weight and occupation that you want, that you do, right? We collect this information just for our research purpose, okay? And then once you upload your face picture, it spits out the result like this with your facial width to height ratio number like this. Mine is like this. This is me. Yeah. When I used to be more skinny, I guess, more better in shape, I guess. So that's how we, automate this process. Masculine-faced CEOs, they are more achievement driven. Okay. Their CEO, by the way, CEOs fWHR in Korea using this machine, the number is like 1.8 or something. So mine is like, my face is not for CEO, right? I'm in the, rather, it's good that I'm not CEO. Thank God. Yeah. Of course, CEO is more risk taking, so that's why. And masculine-faced CEOs, even among the CEOs, there is a variation, right? And just like what Jennifer Lerner said in that interview, there is even within male group, there are huge variation in the degree of testosterone to be able to explain the variation in their risk-taking behavior. We are not talking about, we don't mean there has to be some gender discrimination from this direction to the other direction. So male versus female, no, it's not that story. Even within male, right, within male group, there seems to be some significant variation in that masculinity. More feminine guy versus more masculine guys. I belong to more feminine guy group, okay? It shows up in my face. Justin Bieber versus Mike Tyson. That's the story here. Don't misunderstand our research, okay? And then masculine-faced CEOs, more achievement-driven, higher social status they want to achieve, so that they increase risk-taking, and then so increase company risk, and the financial leverage also increased because that's the fast way of achieving better ROE, right? Return on equity. You can leverage up and then achieve higher ROE sometimes, right? More acquisitive, you take over other guys, and prefer high-powered compensation, which means high proportion of stock options and ownership out of their total compensation instead of fixed amount of salary, right? 적게 먹고 가는 똥, that's professors like me. But theirs over there is more like risk-taking and I get paid more. Option kind of things, right? That's the difference. Clear? Right. Why do we care? CEO's masculinity increase the firms. Important for option traders. If you are, right? Vol traders. Then what kind of CEOs that's sitting over there, right? Depending on it, you can take some strategy out of it. Depending on that expectation. Not many people knows it. And then important for M&A advisors, right? You want to find out some potential M&A acquirers, right? Who will be interested in talking to you as a JP Morgan M&A advisor or Goldman Sachs M&A advisor, right? Who are your clients? You have that. Important for private equity and venture capitalists. If you look at your portfolio companies, right, among your venture fund, right? Which one will be more driven to achieve social dominance? Look at your face, look at their face, right? Important for FinTech, your clients, right? Clients, if you are wealth managers handling a lot of rich people, right? You better look at their face pictures, right? Also, because they have a lot of businesses going on within their hands, and then how much more risk-taking would they be, right? Versus not. Depends on, you can infer from there. Face pictures. FinTech application is infinite from here. Okay? And then they borrow money from you, bankers. What's the chance of hitting bankruptcy for them? Personal bankruptcy kind of things. How much of a risk taking would they do? Just look at their face pictures. Yeah. And then assessing risk preference of their retail investors for loan pricing and personal bankruptcy prediction. Photo ID is very important, right? And then another thing that I propose is voice analysis, right? Voice analysis. You may think that, yeah, you can argue that that's personal information. Disclosure can be, problematic. Well, for a social perspective, you are right? There will be a lot of arguments, pros and cons about this, okay? Identification, ID, right? Kind of things. Monitoring the government, how much they can get involved, right? But for some countries, this kind of technologies will be more prevalent. For other countries, there will be a lot of arguments, pros and cons, right, about it. But internally, you had that data with you, okay? As long as you have the data, there is a room for you, okay? Internal research, there is a potential for that. China, definitely they will do it, right? Voice analysis leads to the next paper that I'm going to talk about later, so wait for that. Important for pay consultants, right? You are headhunters, right? And then which potential client, potential CEOs, right? Which high-level executives in your client base will be more driven to achieve that kind of things. Just analyze their face pictures. Right. Are the results affected by facial expressions on their photos? Because of that concern, we used another technology. They have database, Microsoft Face API, right? Application protocol interface or something. And then what they have is like a database of millions of face pictures with facial expressions coded into it. So when you upload any face pictures, the machine recognizes faces and facial expressions based on their database, and they give scores about age, gender, facial expressions, fear, sadness, disgust, contempt, and neutral, happiness, and anger. Okay? Those facial expressions in probability measure so that they add up to be 1. Okay? At one point, your emotion must be one emotion, right? So that the likelihood, the probability will be adding up to 1. That's the idea. Wearing glasses or mustache and beard and sideburns and baldness, right? So I throw in 3 different pictures like this of the CEOs, and then guess what I got, right? Age, gender, you see it, right? The machine guesses based on our millions of database of face pictures. This must be guy. The age must be around 51 or something like that. And then fear, emotion from here to here. You add this number up, then it will sum up to be 1. Okay? So the first CEO is neutral. It's more likely to be neutral. If it should be any other expressions, it must be happiness maybe. The second one is less likely to be neutral, but more happier face than not. And then the third picture, obviously he's laughing, so its happiness is captured in that facial expression score, probability, right? And then glasses, does he have it or not? Reading glass. The machine recognizes your glasses. No glasses, correct. No glasses, correct. Mustache, the probability score of having mustache right now, 10 percentile, right? Beard, sideburns, baldness, you can see that probability score, 95%. 68% for the third one. After controlling for these facial expression scores, we find that facial masculinity still has a significant impact on corporate risk taking. We control for all of these, right? And then we still find that the facial masculinity separately, independently, captures the risk taking of the CEO inside the company. And then the firm size, I said more masculine faced guys are driven to achieve something big, right? Social status, they're concerned about it, right? I have to be the boss, right? 누구 밑에서 일 못하겠네. It's like a, right, kind of things. So these are masculinity quantile. Most feminine faced to most masculine faced guys. And then what's the average firm size? Size, let's take the log of it, right? Total asset based ones, right? So you see a clear pattern that more masculine faced guys manage bigger firms already. And then ROA, return on asset, you see significant positive trend going on. More masculine faced, higher ROA is achieved. Okay, of course the last one is kind of an exception, but still better than the still higher than the feminine faced guys, right? So generally upward trend is found in my data. Okay, not just my data but other people's data as well. Quite consistently it's happening. And the thing is, the next one is the probability of doing accounting restatement. Just like Jia Van Lent and Sung's paper, they seem to be, the more masculine faced guys seem to be doing more cosmetic accounting or managing their earnings to look better in terms of ROA, right? In the short run, you want to look better and then ride up to the social status somehow. That may be what's going on over here. And then financial leverage, you see these guys are taking more financial risk by loading up more debt. And then probability of acquiring other companies. You see also generally upward trend for the more masculine faced CEOs being, going up higher over here. Okay? And then the next thing is, the next research that I'm interested in is about two different kinds of CEOs, right? One CEO is family, owner family CEO, second and third generation, right? Third generation or second generation CEO, okay? Founder's son, right? Versus the CEO, totally not related to the family, okay? Founding family, but the CEO who rode up, right? The social ladder from the bottom to the top. Okay, which CEOs must be more masculine faced? Okay, the answer is the guys who rode up the social ladder from the bottom to the top. Okay, so here the what you see on the dependent variable is the probability of being the son or grandson of the founding family. Okay. The CEOs, more feminine-faced CEOs, they are more likely to be the son or grandson of founding family because they did not have to go through the tough initial competition to ride up to the ladder, right? But what you see over here, more masculine-faced guys, their probability of being the sons or grandsons of the founding family is very low, right? You see a linear uniform pattern like this. Clear example is like this. Lee Jae-yong is the third generation founding family guy in Samsung Electronics, right? His face is not masculine, more feminine, right? He's good looking, more like Yeon-in, 1.85, right? Whereas Kwon Oh-hyun, the CEO of Samsung Electronics, Lee Jae-yong is a chairman, right? But Kwon Oh-hyun is ex-CEO, okay, of Samsung Electronics. He is not related to that family by blood, okay? Rode up to the ladder to the top, from the bottom to the top. And his face masculinity is really, really high, okay? Guess how much of a competition he must have gone through, right? achievement-driven guy. 초격차, that's his book, right? He just best-selling book. Yeah. So there is a positive side of this masculinity, facial masculinity, that drives the person to achieve high status, right? It's about how to manage that energy somehow. It's just like narcissism. There's a good side and bad side of every biases, but the issue is how to manage that, orient that into a positive direction to add value to the shareholders, right? Wrongly directed screws up everybody. That is very important. Facial masculinity, is that equal to overconfidence? Overconfident? Well, boys are more overconfident than girls. That's already found in the literature. With male group, does this relation still hold true? Is a big question. And then its status, the current research, we are trying to, explore whether this facial masculinity is really a measure of another measure of overconfidence or not. Okay, there's pros and cons about it. Many papers fail to find positive correlation between these two variables, right? Maybe facial masculinity is totally other side of the traits, right? Completely different traits. But some researchers argue that, well, overconfidence is a concept, and then the usual measure that we did with Malmendier and Tate's approach is one dimension, and then facial masculinity may be another dimension of it that is independent of the existing measure. Why should it be independent, and then how are they related somehow, is a big mystery right now. Okay, but let's wait. Facial width to height ratio, the case of Mike Tyson. If Tyson was overconfident, right, why would he have bitten off the ear of Holyfield? Okay, is a question. Tyson hates losing so much so that he was aggressively biting off the opponent, right? Like, 난 이런 사람이야. It's like a DJ DOC's song, Psy comes in again. My favorite singer, Psy, right? 손발 다 써도 안 되면 깨물어 버리는 나니까. It's like if I try everything whatever way and I have to win, if otherwise I do whatever, right? I'll bite you. If if nothing can help me out, I will bite you and then win it still somehow. That's about this masculinity thing, right? You may wonder why this kind of masculinity is still welcomed, even though there is this kind of violent nature associated with it, right? Why do we keep on having these masculine guys on the top positions?